Hey guys, what is going on? This is Travis P11. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite AK pattern rifles. This is the AMD 63. This is actually the James River Armory Edition AMD 63. Very cool, excellent value in terms of an AK-47 style rifle if you're looking for one. You can pick these up over Classic Firearms for around $4.99. I'll tell you, right after the election they were selling them for $429.99, which is a great deal. And we're going to go over just the specifications, the pros, the cons. I'm going to show you a little bit of shooting footage just to show you what kind of accuracy I was able to get right out of the box, and then also with the red dot sight, and then maybe make a few recommendations for magazines to check out and mags to stay away from. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, real quick, I should probably mention that with this being the James River Armory Edition, the only real difference between this and the $499 AMD 63 that you can buy from Classic Firearms is mine was $599, and for the extra $100, all I got was the Phoenix Technology pistol grip and the, I don't know if it's a UTG quad rail or if it's a James River Armory original, but you do get the quad rail on it instead of just the regular vertical foregrip with just the sheet metal handguard that comes on it. At the time, you know, I didn't really know much about these, and I wasn't sure what kind of modifications, if any, or what kind of furniture would be out there to put on the front of the rifle, so I just went with the James River Armory Edition and went with it from there. When you go the JRA route, you also get the Korean steel mag with it instead of a Tapco mag. Again, not a big deal, but we'll talk about the mags here in just a little bit. So basic specifications, what do you need to know about the rifle? I'm really not going to get so much into the history of the rifle. What I can tell you is that your receiver, your trunnion, it is going to be based on the Hungarian service rifle. You're going to get that heavy walled sheet metal stamped receiver. As for the piston, the Bulgarian carrier group, we'll take a look at that in a little bit. I really don't know if those are made in the US or not. I'm not sure if that's required in order to make the gun. Was it 922R compliant? It does have a USA made barrel. So let's just go right into specifications. The barrel is 16.5 inches long. It is 4140 chrome moly. Now again, that's possibly one of the cons of this rifle is people claim you can burn the barrel out within 5,000 rounds if you're not careful. If you do a lot of mag dumps. Now I was watching over on Military Arms channel, Mac was testing one of these out, and he said that you should get around, I think he said, I want to say he said around 20,000 rounds of service life out of it, as long as you're not doing constant mag dumps. But right now, as for me, I've only got about 1,000 rounds through mine, so we can take a look at what kind of wear and tear to expect at that point. I believe that when they were first imported back in the early 2000s, or some of the earlier versions, had the original 12.5-inch barrel with the longer muzzle brake on the front that brought it up to the 16 or 16.5-inch minimum. But we'll talk about the muzzle brake here in a second. It does have the Tapco G2 3-piece trigger group. Again, another one of the things required to bring it into USA compliance. Now, the regular AMD 63 comes with the Tapco US magazine. Does accept, I'm going to call it high capacity magazines and higher capacity drums, or I'm sorry, standard capacity magazines and drums. It also includes the Phoenix Technologies black polymer stock. I believe there's a storage compartment in the buttstock if you pull down on the back of it on the pad there. Matching numbers on all major parts, obviously. Weight is 7.2 pounds, 38.4-inch overall length, chambered in 762 by 39. Semi-automatic. It is a threaded barrel. I believe it's a 14 millimeter by 1 left-hand thread pattern. And I went ahead and took the muzzle brake. I believe the muzzle brake alone weighs about 8 ounces. This is a solid piece of either steel or aluminum, and just didn't want that extra weight on the end of it. It adds a couple extra inches of length to it. It already has a 16.5-inch barrel, so this isn't really necessary to meet your minimum barrel length. So I went ahead and put a Tapco, just a standard AK style, you know, it's that angled muzzle brake on the front, and it runs fine with no problems. Real quick, let's just talk about accuracy. I'm going to show you a little bit of footage here from when I took the rifle out when I first got it. We'll go ahead and check out the footage on that, and then we'll check out some of the red dot footage. And then after that, I think we'll move over to the magazines and talk a bit about the magazines. So you're going to see some footage from previous videos that I did. But again, it's decent footage that kind of gives you an idea about the rifle. We'll come back, we'll take the dust cover off and take a look at those internal components, and we will go from there.
Okay guys, so I just want to share some of my initial accuracy results with you. This was out of the box, unadjusted. It was pulling a little bit low and to the right. I made a few adjustments with the sight tool, and this was just at 60 yards. I was basically just breaking it in, playing around with it. And I did manage to get it to pull up a little bit after making a few adjustments after my first group. Shot a few more shots with it and kept it within about a 2.5 inch group, which was not bad. I can live with that. Now, I have shot it out to 100 yards and it will hit, a 12-inch plate, not a problem at all. I've taken it out to 250 yards and I was able to hit a 24-inch plate with no problems either, which is a pretty good sized plate. So this just shows you that out of the box, it can be an accurate rifle. Now, this was just with standard field sights, iron sights, and so on. Let's check out and see how I did with my red dot. Okay, now, so for the second group of targets, what you're looking at was me shooting with an imitation Bushnell $20 red dot sight that I bought off of wish.com. I was shooting about a 2-inch group, and this was before I made any major adjustments with it. I put it on that front Picatinny rail, did pretty good. Now, keep in mind, I've got 40-year-old eyes, and I should correct myself. I was shooting off my sight and clean gun holder. I wasn't actually using a lead sled at this point. A lead sled, I probably would have had better results overall. It isn't necessarily how I would shoot it, but that's just kind of how it came out. Let's take a look over here on the left-hand side and see how we did. So left-hand side was a little bit better. I had 3 shots that were fairly tight. 1 shot off to the left right here. So I don't know if I made more adjustments after that or not. I may have, but I have actually used it just around, and it had no trouble with that little $20 red dot sight. So you can expect maybe some 2.5 inch accuracy with just cheap steel case ammo, just some minor sighting in. You can probably get the groups even tighter if you really learn how to work with the rifle. But again, I'm totally happy with that. So as you can see out of the box, it is a decent shooter. Okay, guys, so if we take a look at the magazines here that I was running through the AMD 63, I did a mixed magazine test a couple winters ago, and what we have here is the Tapco polymer magazines, which if you sand down the sides, they will fit. Also understand, I had read in some forums for other AMD 63 owners that it's a common problem that for some reason polymer magazines, if they're too thick, you do have to sand them down. Even though my understanding is that the AMD 63 receiver, when it comes over here from Hungary, it is ready to accept a double stack 20-round mag or 30-round magazine. I think they issue 20-round magazines over there with their military because of that front hand grip. So you should have no trouble at all using these double stack mags. But for some reason, the Tapcos are just a little bit too wide. P-mags had no problems whatsoever. This is the Korean steel surplus mag that actually came with the rifle itself. No problems at all. I was actually pretty impressed with the build quality of the Korean magazine. And this right here is the Chinese surplus 5-round magazine that I got for deer hunting. And I was shooting just some Tula, just standard full metal jacket. I can't even tell you the grain weight. But just to show you, I was actually out shooting this out in the wintertime at the range, and I was just kind of running through different magazines, had no problems, no issues whatsoever. Did not have any magazines that were able to lock open the receiver when it was done firing. That's when I ran into the problems with the Croatian magazines. So we'll talk about one of the cons, that being the Croatian magazines. Let's run that footage and I can talk about what actually happened. But as for mixed magazines, if you want to get Tapcos, you can, but be prepared to sand them down. P-mags, no problems. Korean magazines, no issues. And Chinese surplus magazines, which I ordered them from a company out of Arizona. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but I think I did a review on those on my channel. If you look around, you'll probably find it. Let's check out the issues that I had with those Croatian magazines. Okay, so I showed you some of those magazines. Now, my word of advice when it comes to the Croatian steel surplus magazines, steer clear. I've seen in the forums of other AMD 63 owners that had the same problems as me. What happens here is that the little paddle here does not, or the notch in the magazine that holds it into place into the release lever, it won't lock into place. And I sanded down the top of the magazine itself. I tried to trim off some of the notch on the back of the magazine. No matter what I did, I could not get it to lock into place. And it turns out that this is a common issue on the AMD 63. In fact, the AK-47 Operators Union had trouble getting these magazines to work in several of his Robski's AK-47s that he has on his channel. And so it's one of those things where I probably should have did my research before I bought them. And yeah, just steer clear. Just stick with your P-mags, stick with your Tapco mags, your Korean mags, or your Chinese surplus mags, and you should be good. I have not tried any Bakelite mags or Russian Reds or anything like that, but for the most part, stick with those P-mags and you should be okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and safety check the gun before we get into the inside of it. It is kept around for home defense. Typically don't keep one in the chamber, but I do have the loaded magazine, but we'll go and check it anyway. Push down on the safety lever, check the chamber. Okay, again, we're all empty. The vertical foregrip, this is an imitation Magpul AFG that I've got, or MOE VFG that I got off of eBay for about 12 bucks. Now this gun's bubbled out a little bit, I'm not gonna lie to you. Got a little $2 clearance Walmart rifle extra shell holder, cartridge holder that I have for the buttstock, and then I've just got a Butler Creek sling on it. I need to get a mil-spec sling for it, but these are really comfortable and they're only 10 bucks, and it's just on here with the key loop ring. So I gotta tell you though, it does run just fine as is. I've had no trouble on multiple range trips. So let's go ahead and get that dust cover off. Another one of the cons, we'll talk about pros and cons here in a little bit after we check out the bolt carrier group. So you take off the dust cover. These can sometimes require a little bit of sanding to get them back on properly. They are a beast to put back on. If you guys have kind of sanded them down a little bit and put them back in, when you take it off and put it back on a few times, it does eventually start to fit better. That's just one of the complaints people have. Checking out your buffer spring, again, all the components and all the parts seem to be very heavy duty. And again, I did a complete cleaning video on this rifle if you really want to see more details on it and you're looking at what kind of wear and tear we have after 1,000 rounds. Really nothing too extreme, to be honest with you. Okay, we'll go and pull out the gas piston here and the bolt carrier group. Don't have any kind of funky wear and tear. Do need to wipe this off a little bit, but it is really holding up really well. I don't have any kind of funky deformation going on or deformation going on. Let's go and take that out so we can take a look at it. Again, runs really well. No problems on the front there. Again, 1,000 rounds, everything's still nice and clean. Nothing's all chipped up or beat up. I did have a RAS 47. That was the first AK style rifle that I bought, and I bought that not doing any research, just going off the hype of the the James Yeager videos and all the other big YouTube channels. And then I started learning about the problems that they were running into after 5,000 rounds. Just a couple hundred rounds in, I went ahead and sold it. Now mine had been heat treated. It had no problems at all. It had the markings on it, the RAS 47 that were typical, showing that it was a second run, production run, and it didn't have any problems, but that kind of spooked me out a little bit, so I went ahead and just got rid of it. But checking out that bolt carrier group. Again, I don't know if the gas piston is USA made or not. I guess it would be maybe better if it was European sourced. They might use a little bit better steel. But nothing too crazy there. We'll check out the back here. Have a little bit going on here on the rear. Now, if we see some excessive wear, you got to realize it does not have the stock trigger that comes with it. One of those things with the 922R compliance is that you have a different trigger group in order to be in the minimum number of parts, if I'm not mistaken. I used to have a Zastava M77, and that was another one of those Sentry guns that had a bunch of different parts in it to bring it into compliance. Let's just go ahead and take the camera off the tripod here and we'll show you the inside of it. And again, no real crazy wear and tear going on. I mean, it's cleans up really nice. Everything's holding up well. You get that thick receiver, stamped receiver going on. And I don't know if there's any other aftermarket trigger groups you can get for it or not. Trunnion is fine. I don't have a light or anything I can really shine on it, but there's no problems with excessive wear. It's good as is. It's not all beat up. The receiver's fine. Everything's holding up well. The metal's holding up well too with no problems. I believe sights go out to either 800 or 1,000 meters. Effective range, you're looking at about 350 to 400 meters. I mean, that would really be pushing it. What I really like about this Phoenix Technology pistol grip, it does have a plastic cap on the bottom of it. It's not rubber all the way around like some of the Hogue grips. And so this should not chew up and wear apart from throwing the rifle around. And that's one thing too. We should probably talk about that when we get into pros and cons. When it comes to furniture, you may have to do some modifications to make it fit your rifle. If you go ahead and go with like a mag pull, like an MOE style handguard on the front, you might have to modify it slightly to get it to fit. No cannon sights out of the box, no problems whatsoever. In fact, it shot fairly accurate right out of the box, right out to 75 yards before I took it out further. Again, if you get the regular AMD 63, we can show you some pictures of that. That handguard supposedly gets really hot after a few magazines. It just has like a sheet metal handguard on the front, and that angled reverse pistol grip is all it really is. That's all they did to kind of save money on parts and make it more functional. But there's some aftermarket support now, and there's more showing up for this style of handguard. Again, I just went with the quad rail because of all the different options that it gave you. Check out the front here. Again, runs like a champ, never had a problem with it, no issues whatsoever, never had a jam, never had a problem. I've only run Tula and a few boxes of Wolf through it. I can't buy Wolf locally, I have to order it online. Supposed to go the other side here. Again, this is my little Bubba job, but you know what, it works. It's just a key ring. It does stay on when I shoulder it. Again, the Butler Creek slings are great. And over here you got your little side mount. Again, that seems kind of pointless, but it's always kind of nice having an extra 9 rounds, isn't it? I mean, who really cares? You know, when you think about it, you can never have enough rounds on you. Never have enough ammo, right? Little shout out to NEA Matt there. So just showing it to you because, you know, the whole, the trunnion area, the rivets, a lot of people, you know, it's important that you get a gun that has a nice finish to it. You can see how nice the rivet jobs are. James River Armory does a great job. Finish on this, I don't know if it's parkerized. I don't think it's anodized. I believe it's a parkerized finish. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. I've seen parkerized listed before in the descriptions for it, so I'm assuming that's what it has. Again, it's got some decent amount of gun cleaner on it, some gun oil, some CLP. Paddle, not a problem, but again, as you saw in the magazines, with the magazines there can be some issues from time to time if you're not careful. But just a great overall rifle all the way around. If I was to do it again, I probably would just go ahead and buy a regular AMD 63 and maybe just go ahead and put the Magpul furniture on it. As for like the Zukov style stock and things like that, I believe you're going to have to make sure that it's for an AKM style pattern rifle, but you're going to have to look that up. There's your rear. There we go. Again, it's not a bad gun. You don't have that bolt hold open on it. I kind of wish you had that, but I believe Krebs Customs makes one you can get. I know the RAS 47 does come with one. Alright guys, so real quick, pros and cons about the rifle. Well, pros, it's an incredible value for the money. If you even get just the standard AMD 63 from Classic, you know, $4.99. It might even be available in other places. The problem with Classic is that they do sell out from time to time. And so they've had it for months and months and months. And I've noticed that they'll disappear for about a month and then come back in for a couple more weeks and then disappear for another month. So if you're on the, you know, if you're kind of thinking about going with an AK and you don't know which way to go, I don't know, in my opinion, it's one of the better lower price entry-level AK pattern rifles, and then after that, you know, you might be looking at a Waster, and then you can go up from there. So pros, incredible value for the money, very reliable. I've taken it through 3-gun competition with no problems at all. Again, if you get yourself a quad rail up on the front, get yourself a red dot, you're going to be in really good shape. Man, ergonomics, it's comfortable to shoot, very little recoil. The Phoenix technology butt pad in the stock does a really good job. I would say it's a little bit shorter than more of the traditional European style wooden stocks. It does shoulder well with no problems at all. I'm about 5'11". I have no trouble using it. Man, what else is there? A lot of flexibility when you got the quad rail. Ammunition, obviously very cheap. So that, you know, pros, again, it's an awesome deal right out of the box. The Tapco G2 trigger is not bad. I mean, I've fired other AKs before, and you can kind of find its sweet spot and really make it work, and it does hold up well. It is really well done. Again, fit and finish holds up really well on this rifle too. Excuse me. Okay, so cons. Again, 4140 barrel. If that's going to be a problem with you, if you're a high volume shooter, you may want to look at something. I don't know if you want to go like a chrome line barrel with the 4150 composition. I'm sure they're out there. If you're kind of worried about a lack of accessories, you know, you're going to have to hunt around a little bit, but there are plenty of parts out there. I've actually seen quite a few parts on eBay for this rifle, which is cool. Which, you know, eBay doesn't always sell a lot of gun parts, but it's one of those things that you can find for it. Let's see, cons about the rifle. This does not get hot at all with the vertical foregrip. I can even hold it by the quad rail and not have any problems, but it can get hot if you've got the traditional setup with the sheet metal handguard and the kind of that reverse pistol grip style foregrip that it has on the front of it. Trying to think if there's anything else. Again, not really sure about the origin of the gas piston or the bolt carrier group, but as you can see, I don't think I have any excessive wear from what I've looked at so far. It's been pretty good, and again, I do believe you can get yourself a Magpul pistol grip. Yes, cons, again, the magazines, okay? A lot of guys like to run the Tapco mags. There's a chance that they're going to be too wide to fit in the magazine well. And again, these were originally designed for double stack mags, but it's just the Tapco mags are so thick, they have problems going in. Magpul mags do not. So a little finicky with the magazines, so before you go buy a whole pallet of Croatian mags because they're on sale at PSA for $8.99, do a little research, maybe just buy 1 or 2, make sure they're going to work, and then go from there. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much about it. You're buying yourself an entry-level AK pattern rifle with a good lineage, a good history behind it. It is a solid gun. It is comfortable to shoot, and it's a lot of fun, and it is inexpensive to shoot too. As of May of 2018, I can get about 40 rounds of Tula at my local Walmart. 762 by 39 for about $10. So it is an inexpensive gun to shoot. I've had friends take it to the range and they played around with it, shoot it fine, no problems at all. And it's an AK, what can you say? You know, it's going to be fairly reliable. So otherwise, guys, that is it. I want to thank you for listening. I apologize for the cough, and I still got some allergy stuff going on here. Hopefully got a little insight into this rifle and just kind of my experiences with it over the last 2 years, what I think about it. It does make just a nice all-around gun, you know, without throwing too much money. It might make a good truck gun or camping gun or just range toy. You know, whatever you want to do, or just solid hunting rifle for that matter. You know, with the ability to mount an optic on a quad rail, you'd be in pretty good shape. So that's it, guys. If you like what you see, please like or subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm also on gunchannels.com with the Ordinary Average Guy Gun Channel, and the Caliber Corner, which is a 8 a.m. Central Time podcast that I do on gunchannels.com as well as on YouTube. Otherwise, guys, I do want to thank you for joining us today. I've got a lot of videos coming up in the future, and I'll put a few links to the videos that I showed off in this video, so you can watch the full footage on those videos if you want to get more information about the rifle. Otherwise, guys, I think that's about it. So a lot more range tests coming at you here. So just make sure you hang tight and stay subscribed to the channel. So, guys, I want you to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as always, as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.